Good evening and welcome once again to the Monday Review Show. This is the show where we review all things referees and refereeing and things that happened over the past week, all about referees and refereeing. Let me start off by wishing you all a very, very Merry Christmas and thank you for your viewing and contacting the show over the past year. We will be continuing into the new year. So in the meantime, a very, very Merry Christmas to all of you out there. So I'm delighted to be joined, although he's got one or two gremlins in the system, as I had weeks ago, by former Premier League referee, former FIFA referee, the man responsible for goal line technology, and of course, former head of the PGMOL, Keith Hackett. Good evening, Keith. I believe you're having one or two gremlins in your system.
It's happening to me now. I think it's a disease that you passed on to me.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think this is a virus. I don't know. I mean, I'm reasonably competent with computers, but let's move on. I think we've got a lot to talk about this weekend.
Well, if you're reasonably competent, you're definitely miles ahead of me. That's for sure, because I just know to click the same button. And I know that if I click it repetitively, it'll just do the same thing. But if it decides to play silly buggers with me, then I'm completely lost. Yeah, we had lots of things happening last week. Let's start with it, because I've had a lot of comments and a lot of people contacting me about Michael Oliver's game yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Where he now has an earpiece and it's sort of actually a body cam per se, but it's an earpiece camera, and he has something stuck on the back of his neck. What in heaven's name is that all about?
I think it's a burden. I think that if they can't get things smaller, then don't use them. I think it's interesting because obviously Michael Oliver and Anthony Taylor are almost certainly going to go to the World Cup. And I'm hearing that they're going to use these types of equipment in the World Cup, and I just think that back to my career, our careers at a similar time, I wouldn't want that. It's a distraction. When you consider he's got the communication kit, so he's got an earpiece, he's linked with the VAR room at Stockley Park that's chattering down his line and out of control in terms of their commentary. We've heard that on the shows that the PGMOL do. So that's one aspect of it. And then he's got the buzzer flag, so he's got a wrap round his arm, which gives him a vibration when the flag is raised. And then he's got this camera, and he's probably carrying another piece of equipment under his shirt to measure things like his heart rate, distance covered, and all that.
On the back of the shirt there, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think it's intrusive. I think, having said that, apart from a challenge very early on in the game, Nano, I think they call the player, put in a reckless challenge. It was a clear yellow card. And then I was concerned because Michael Oliver didn't do anything other than have a conversation with the player as the player moved back upfield, face to face, and finished up shaking hands. And I'm telling you now, that is an absolute no-no, because it's sending a signal to everyone that there might be some bias here, And so I thought that was not a good thing. Other than that, he had a very good game.
And let me tell you another bugbear of mine. He also got water. One of the team's coaches came on and he takes water from them. Why in heaven's name can the fourth official not have that water available? And when there's an injury, all he's got to do is come over to the touchline. Again, as you say, and certainly when I was in South Africa, any form of communication or contact, be it physical or verbal, with a player sort of almost denotes that you favor that team that he plays for rather than the other team. Now, in the Western world, we're not like that, but certainly in South Africa, I found the fans to be very, very wary, superstitious almost, to the point of believing that the referee is favoring this team or the other team when they see that close communication. Why are they doing it? I know they need water. I know they're human beings. I know they need sustenance the same as the players, but from one of the teams now, and then he gives maybe a decision that appears to be favoring that team. They're going to say, "Oh yeah, why not?" He's after having a drink of water from them.
Yeah.
I mean, put themselves in that position.
I can remember in around about 1982-83, refereeing at the World Under-21 World Cup, something like that. And we were in Guadalajara, and I was, 4 officials had traveled to Guadalajara, and the referee was Rolf Eriksson. I wasn't on the match, but I was asked to sit alongside the match delegate to gain some experience. And during that game, Rolf Eriksson, a very, very fit referee who'd run several marathons, ahead of his time, understanding about the intake of liquids because it was humid, it was hot, and he had a bottle. He placed a bottle on the side of the pitch. His bottle, it was clearly marked, and there was a break in play injury close by where the bottle was. He just trotted off, got the bottle, and I couldn't believe what the French observer said. He turned to me and said, no, this is not the right thing to do. And I've gone, well, he's taking in liquid. He's an athlete, all those sort of things. Rolf was on the next plane home. And I thought that was extremely harsh. But there are methods in which a match official can get liquids. There's a method where you can have a plastic bag, in a very small plastic bag that can fit in the pocket that you can pull out, and you bite into it and it gives you the flush of liquid. The advice that I had from a Mexican referee at that particular tournament that I always remember, he came into the dressing room, we were chatting, a really nice guy, and he said to me, "Have you got your piece of lemon?" And I, pardon, and he gave me a slice of lemon, a little bit like a wedge. I put that in my pocket, and he said, "Look, when you start feeling a bit dry, and which it will happen because of altitude, and just bite on the lemon, and it'll give you a liquid boost." And it worked. So I think there are ways to do that, but yeah, you're quite right. I mean, there's an attempt, isn't there, that appears to me in refereeing that we're all trying to be mates with people who are playing. We should be apart from that. We are, if you like, the facilitators of ensuring that the two teams play a game of football within the laws of the game. And sometimes you need to show a great deal of impartiality. Oh, and if you're too friendly to one team, or somebody calls you by a Christian name or whatever, the opposition or even a colleague can think, "Oh, what's going on here?" And I just don't. I think there's a line to be drawn that represents impartiality, both physically, i.e. communication-wise, and also pictorially through body language and not interacting. That doesn't mean to say you can have a quiet word with a player, but shaking hands is a bit too much.
Yeah, look, you can have a quiet word, but you have to at all times, be seen to be acting professionally. Yes. And since you're an arbitrator between two teams playing a match, like a judge up on the bench with the prosecution and the defense, you can't be seen to be having a drink with the defense or the prosecution, or in any way be seen to be impartial. Likewise with the referees, and I know certainly from my days in South Africa, even if you walk in with a white shirt or a yellow tie or a tie that appears to be associated with one of the teams, you're dead and buried. Because no matter what you do, they will claim, oh, you're wearing that color and therefore you must be favoring that team. I don't know why they do that. I really don't know why they do that. But just let's move on, Keith, to the and by the way, I did forget to mention at the beginning, for you guys watching at it, we do seem to have a lot more watchers this evening, which is fantastic.
Good.
If you'd like to make a comment on the show, please do so. There is a little area there on your screen. You'd like to ask a question or you'd like to make a comment on somebody that we're saying, please do so. And we'll try and get around to answering your question. The other thing, Keith, we started off with the camera. This new camera now, Michael Oliver again, whether he's the guinea pig because he's way up there, probably the number one in England, followed very closely by Anthony Taylor. Is that the first? It's the first time I've seen it, because when he at the start of the game, he seemed to have a little box on the back of his shirt, and I said, "What in heaven's name is that?"
Yeah.
The camera now in the front is not being used. Is that right? It's the one on his ear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we take the experiment with body cameras fitted on the chest area, those have been trialed and proven to be quite successful at grassroots level. This camera I have seen, but in the game of rugby league, and I don't think rugby league now use it anymore. I think it's this is the media looking to gain an advantage over their competition and wanting even more information. For me, I have to say, this is a step too far. I don't think that we should interfere with the natural vision and movement of the match referee. Look, I'm the guy that introduced communication kits. I'm the guy that introduced goal line technology. I've commented very negatively about the VAR operation. We know this weekend again, the semi-automated system, the English version, failed in certain games. Technology has to not just be available to the match referee to help his performance, but I think it's also got to be very carefully operated. And I just think having something on the side of my head over my ear is a step too far.
Yeah.
And we might argue, we're going to get another view and another viewing angle. There's 22 cameras minimum at a Premier League game. In addition to that, there's 7 cameras around each goal mouth.
In addition to the 22.
Yeah, that's for goal line technology there for that purpose. And then there's a further 38 cameras.
Oh my goodness.
For the semi-automated offside system. And so for me, I think that let's get on with refereeing and let's use technology wisely. But I think in England, in particular, the semi-automated system is not working as good as it should be. That needs to be, before it's introduced into the Premier League, this is a league that shouldn't be experimenting with technology. Experimentation can be done in the academies until it's 100% and somebody rubber stamps it. So, it might sound negative, but what did we gain from the game this weekend where it was used? I think we saw more of a clip of Michael in the tunnel, and I think more of a clip in terms of the introduction. We didn't see much action from that camera during the course of the match. So for me, I think it's a step too far. They've got to minimize the size of the cameras, the size of the equipment, bring it right down to manageable sizes. And if that's the size of a button that's worn on the chest or on the shirt, that's about as far and as big as it should be.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned earlier, and you're absolutely right, and I agree with you 100%, the amount of things that the referee is carrying on his body and still trying to referee a game. He's got
Yeah.
this new camera now on his ear. He's got
Yep.
the buzzer on his arm.
Yep.
You know, all these things. He's got VAR shouting in his ear all the time. How in heaven's name, Keith, can they concentrate on what's happening on the field when all these things are coming at him? Maybe all at once. Maybe that's
Yeah.
a bit far-fetched, but maybe all at once. Why do they need all of that stuff? I mean, goodness.
You know, I watched this weekend, and I watched what I consider to be a competent referee, Andy Madley. I've watched him at grassroots level. I've watched his elevation to the PGMOL. I watched his introduction into the leagues. But this weekend he had an off day. In the Newcastle Chelsea game,
Right.
he didn't. It was a difficult game, made more difficult by some of his decisions. And I think that's a pity, because I wonder, one, how much influence and effect the VAR is having on the application of law, the concentration, and the actual, hesitation that appears to be coming in. This guy's normally a firm, confident performer, but I'm sad to say that I think that Garnacho of Chelsea, he put in a stamping action on the shin of his opponent, low down on the leg, and that sanction should have been a red card.
Yeah.
I've no doubts about that. Later in the game, there was an absolute nailed-on penalty kick. This was when a Chelsea player, barged into the back of a Newcastle player inside the penalty area. I've read Gary Lineker's view on various things this weekend, saying it's not a penalty. Come on, that's 100% nailed on penalty kick, not awarded. And the task, I think, when I stood and chatted to referees at the PGMOL and at Football League level, I always said, look, it's about getting the big decisions. There's an expectation that a throw-in, a goal kick is important, and you'll get that right, 99 times out of 100, if not 100 out of 100.
Mm-hmm.
But what is important, really, is you're judged on, is that a penalty, is it not? Is that a red card, is it not? And I think sometimes we're losing a bit of focus, and he certainly lost focus this weekend. And for him, I think it was the worst performance I've seen him deliver. Again, I say he's a competent match official. He had an off game. That does happen. He's now got to recharge. I think review his performance, as referees should do, make some notes. Young referees out there that listen to us, when you've completed the game, make a short summary of the match, and in it, put 2 positives. I felt good. I was moving around the field with pace, etc., etc. My decisions were good. And then find a negative, not a negative, but a learning point. Can I improve? And I think those things are important in the development of a referee.
Just on Andy Madley, what is happening, just briefly, to his brother Bobby? Is he back?
Bobby's refereeing at national level. That means the Football League. He's out fairly frequently. He's had some big games in our region in the Championship. They gave him a Premier League game, and then since he's not had one. And I don't quite understand it. I think the reality now is that there are other referees that are coming through and firing on all cylinders in the Football League. And you think, whoa, Lewis Smith is one that catches the eye when he referees, gets on with it, referees very efficiently. So he's heading, or should be heading, for the Premier League. So it's a challenging and competitive environment. And if you
Which is
don't,
good.
yeah,
Which
and
is
if
good,
you,
because it keeps the top boys on their toes.
yeah, well, it's not affected his appointments, because I noticed that Andy Madley will be refereeing at Tottenham over the Christmas period, so he's not. There's no sanction. Perhaps I was slightly different in my view. My view wasn't a sanction; it was to say, you're sitting on your hands next week, son. That performance was not good enough. Go away and think about it, and recharge your batteries.
Is there any one point you'd maybe like to mention?
Pardon?
Is there any one point that he wasn't good on?
I think that the recognition of foul challenges is so important.
Yeah.
And it's not just, is that a foul, is it not a foul? You've got to consider, is the foul careless? Is it reckless? If it's reckless, it's a yellow card. And if it meets, and then the other one is, does it meet violent conduct, or does it meet serious foul play? And and you might then throw in, is that foul, is it denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity? So I think that these things are testers for the match referee. Hopefully he'll go away, and I'm sure, he's that type of character. He's pretty, I think he's, let's hope that he gets a better performance.
Right. The Spurs Liverpool game. Now, I have to say, 3 cheers to John Brooks for issuing 2 red cards. The first one, yes, definitely, although it had to be reviewed. The second one, I was thinking, is he going to think the way people think referees think? Is he going to say, oh, I've already given 1 red card and I'll just fob this off with a talking to? But he dished out the second red card, and 100% to him. He was absolutely dead right in that. But the one issue I thought where he fell down was Liverpool's second goal, where I thought there was a clear push in the back.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't, and you have to say to yourself, at this level, your expectation is that you've got the very best referees in the country.
Yeah.
They've worked hard to get there. And you have to say, how could he deem that was not a push? In the same way that Madley deemed it wasn't a barge into an opponent and a foul, and a penalty kick should have been awarded. This was another one where it actually started off the dissent from the Spurs player, unhappy that the foul wasn't given and the goal was allowed. And he disputed it. Now I'm not defending the dispute. If the right decision is given, maybe you don't get the dispute and dissent. So I think in a way that wrong decision eventually resulted in the dismissal of a player. And right or wrong, the player hasn't got the right to dissent in the way that he did. And he did get a bit of a, it did go over the top. That's passion. I think it was I generally thought that was a poor decision.
Yeah. What was the other one I was going to ask you? You sent me quite a list, which I've run out of now. Can you remember?
The other one was where I thought the referee was terrific, and that was in the Spurs Liverpool game, and that was the sending off of Simmons for that raking challenge down the back of the leg of the opponent. Referee in a good position, I was a little surprised. It was John Brooks again. He issued a yellow. He saw it as a yellow. Fine. He might not have had the best view in the house. But fortunately, VAR on this one came in. Didn't come in, and the result was the player rightly sent off. No question.
So on that, Keith, I thought all goals had to be or could be viewed by VAR.
They are.
How come whoever was operating VAR that day didn't pick up the push by Ekitike on the Spurs player?
You know, Errol, the reality is this, and we've talked about it on many, many occasions, and that is you and I seeing fouls in the penalty area, holding, pushing, blocking, all these challenges that go off in the penalty area that go unpunished, and we say, why aren't the offences given? And you get into I think a malaise that suddenly goes, well, the push is not hard enough. We've heard this, haven't we? The holding isn't sustained, and the push isn't hard enough. I think the difficulty for referees, and I've said it before, is that the players are so good now at simulation. The task for the referees is not easy. But I think my criticism here on that push not given is aimed at the VAR, because the VAR can play that 4 or 5 times and it's a push. If that's not a push, what is a push, please? Tell me what you think is a push. I know what a push is. When he's got 2 hands and the weight, whatever it is, means that he's pushed the player forward and unable to defend, that has to be a free kick. In this case, it has to be a foul against the defender and a goal ruled out. I think it's quite simple.
And Keith, what is what is obstruction now? I see players holding off an opponent to let the ball run out of play for a goal kick. Holding them off, you could call it obstruction, but that surely is holding. But that seems to be justified by the player saying, no, he's defending the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, surely that's holding. If you're putting your body between the player and the ball, that's holding, surely.
Yeah. I mean, the word now in terms of obstruction, you and I know what obstruction is, but in the laws of the game, we talked about unfair impeding. So
I think we used to call it interposing the body between the ball and the man.
So if there's interference with the opponent without contact, then that's an indirect free kick. If there's contact, it becomes a direct free kick. So the aim of the change was, under the old money, obstruction in the penalty area, which happened at a fair frequent amount, would not result in a penalty kick. It would result in an indirect free kick. And years ago, the IFAB said, we'll bring unfair impeding in, where if it's definitely unfair impeding, then it's a direct free kick and a penalty kick. That, I mean, in rough money, that's why the changes took place.
Yeah. Wow, Keith, the time goes so quickly. Really, we don't have enough time. But I have noticed on my screen there a lot more people interacting. Didn't get any comments for some reason, but anyway, that's the way it goes. Just to ask you, and I don't mean to put you in a hobble or in a hole, Keith. Are you available for next week, Monday?
Absolutely.
Oh,
yeah,
fantastic.
absolutely.
Fantastic. You might want Christmas off, but being that Christmas is in the middle of the week, it's sort of, and there'll be a lot of action. There'll be a lot of games to be played.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So once again, Keith, many, many thanks for joining me, and a Merry Christmas to you and your family. Have a good time.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you very much out there to you guys who watched and have been watching for the last heaven knows how long, and watching all the shows and the comments that you have made and sent in. Please do keep them coming in. But until we see you all again next Monday, yes, no break for Christmas. Thank you once again, and a very, very Merry Christmas to you all, and especially you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Good night.
Bye.
God bless you.
Bye.